By virtue of the powers vested in me as Vice Chancellor, acting in this regard, I constitute this gathering a congregation of the University of South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, we request you to join us in silent prayer or meditation to give thanks for the achievements that are being celebrated on this occasion. You may be seated. Honorable ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dr. Paswane Mokhobu. I'm the Vice Principal, Institutional Development. The University of South Africa is a unique, dynamic, and a leader in open distance learning institution in our country. I wish to welcome each and every one of you to this graduation ceremony of the university. In this institution, we take pride ourselves in our contribution to the developmental state by producing the much needed human resources, academic cadres with requisite intellectual aptitude to address the challenges facing this country, the continent, and the world at large. This graduation ceremony is one of the specifically planned series of graduations during this season. A graduation ceremony is a very special occasion. It's an occasion for the graduates. It is an occasion that bears witness to achievements resulting from hard work, diligence, and dedication. Your presence here today gives this occasion the academic weight it deserves, and it takes this a truly special occasion for our graduates. As we gather to celebrate the countless hours of hard work come to fruition, I would like to welcome and thank you not only for being present, but also for everything that you have done to support our students along their demanding journey. Our graduates' journey to this day reflects grounding in sound educational principles and ethical values that nourish and enrich the bearers of a Unisa qualification. It is a qualification with attributes intended to address our social, economic, and political challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, we are elated that you are able to join us on this particular occasion. May I also extend a special welcome to all Unisa staff whose presence here gives this ceremony the dignity and importance it warrants. Allow me to single out the following senior members of staff from the executive management: Professor Mutata, who's the registrar; Professor Budeli Namakonde, Acting Deputy Executive Dean, College of Law; Professor R.S. Chaka, Director, School of Humanities in the College of Human Sciences; Professor M.T. Mokhale, Executive Dean, College of Economic and Management Sciences; Professor N.M. Ntwasa, Acting Deputy Executive Dean, College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences; Professor P.M. Sibate, Executive Dean, College of Education; Ms. M. Gandela, Acting Executive Dean, College of Accounting Sciences; Mr. A.E. Nobachi, Acting Academic Director, Graduate School of Business Leadership; and Professor M. Kumalo, who will be delivering the Chancellor's address. May I also take this opportunity to acknowledge members of the academic staff in our procession. I also acknowledge members of the support and admin staff from the Graduation Division, Department of Institutional Advancement, Logistics, Facilities Management, and Multimedia functionaries. These are our employees who work tirelessly to make this day a reality. They ensure that all the logistical arrangements for this ceremony are in place. Ladies and gentlemen, during this ceremony, I will confer and award degrees to all graduates present. These are students who have satisfied the academic standards set by the university. This ceremony is your celebration, so please feel free to express your joy and excitement. There are only one condition, that it allows every student to be praised with the same level of joy. In conclusion, this graduation ceremony commemorates your dedication and achievements, and so let's celebrate and enjoy, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you. I'm now going to request Professor Kumalo to deliver Chancellor's address.
Acting Vice Chancellor, members of the University Executive, and our proud graduates, their parents, relatives, and friends, and everybody, we welcome you to this, to this graduation ceremony. I'm going to address primarily the graduates, of whom we are extremely proud today, who have gone through the rigors of the academic program of the university and have been found worthy to be awarded the degrees, diplomas, and all qualifications as they may be relevant. I'm going to use one word to describe my speech today, and the word is resilience. Resilience is the ability to cope with a crisis or to readily return to pre-crisis status. For example, we say resilient economies will return to pre-pandemic levels quicker than non-resilient ones. Resilient organizations and institutions do not feel sorry for themselves, but adapt to adversities and crises, finding effective and efficient ways to conduct their businesses in the midst of adversity. Our own Unisa used the crisis to go full steam ahead in fulfilling its mandate. You are the product of innovative education delivery models and mastery-based assessment practices. You are here today because you were resilient. You adapted and you excelled. Congratulations. I'm going to quote John Maxwell, who is an author, a speaker, and a pastor, which is quite relevant given the venue of our graduation ceremony. He said that you don't overcome challenges by making them smaller, but by making yourself bigger. In other words, by being resilient. Washington Irving, who was a writer, a short story writer, said that little minds are tamed and subdued by misfortune, but great minds rise above it. In other words, great minds are measured and evaluated according to the extent to which they are resilient under adversity. Jim Rohn, who is an entrepreneur, said, don't wish easier, rather wish you were better. When you become better, it will naturally become easier. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. In other words, pray for strength and resilience, not for a simpler pathway to the top. May the qualities of resilience that you have demonstrated in attaining the achievements we are celebrating today be carried over in the situations that you are going to face in your careers. Don't join an easy crowd. You won't grow. Go where expectations and demands to perform are high. Here is a thought. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And therefore, go to where the challenges are and you will be better. Congratulations, the university is releasing you in confidence that you will demonstrate resilience for the benefit of the society. Thank you very much.
Professor Kumalo, thank you very much for the words of wisdom and encouragement to our graduates. We really appreciate the speech that you have made. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start with the conferment of the degrees, may I kindly request you not to leave the hall before the end of the ceremony so that the process can ensue without disruptions. By virtue of the powers entrusted to me, I shall now proceed to confer the degree of the university on the candidates whose names appear in the program, and I request the representatives of the colleges to present the candidates to me.
Mr. Acting Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you Andre Sarel Liebenberg for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The candidate supervisor was Prof. J.G. van Graan, and it is now my privilege to read the citation in support of the conferment of the degree. In his thesis entitled An Evaluation of the Impact of the Non-Ferrous Metals Crime Combating Committee on Copper Cable Theft, he demonstrates shortcomings confronting the committee's effectiveness in inhibiting its impact on copper cable theft. Building on the thesis shortcomings, he has put forward a set of recommendations that can assist the committee in enhancing its impact by proposing a systematic, proactive plan for mitigating copper cable thefts in South Africa. With this proposed plan, he convincingly presents practical solutions to minimize copper cable theft and thus contributes to and advances the current body of scholarship in copper cable theft. Mr. Acting Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer on Andre Sarel Liebenberg the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
I confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy on Andre Sarel Liebenberg.
Mr. Acting Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you I have the honor to introduce to you Nolita Gobole. Let me start. Mr. Acting Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you Nolita Ngobole for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. I request his supervisor, Professor G. Prinsloo, to read the citation in support of the conferment of the degree.
In a thesis entitled Antidiabetic Activity, Metabolomics and Nutritional Profile of Wild and Cultivated Amaranthus Species and Isolated Compounds, she determines the significant effects of geographical distribution and cultivation on the medicinal and nutritional properties of amaranthus and indigenous leafy vegetable. Her findings show excellent alpha-glucosidase inhibitory activity of the extract as well as several isolated compounds, with palmitic acid showing potential for further studies. Metabolomic analysis demonstrates the changes in the phytochemical profile and antidiabetic activity of different plant sources, and additionally identifies 2-phenylethylamine, described for the first time in amaranthus, as potentially the main contributor to antidiabetic activity.
Mr. Acting Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer on Nolita Ngobole the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
I confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy on Nolita Ngobole.
Mr. Acting Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you Dirk Philippus Conradi for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The candidate supervisor was Professor W.S. Boshoff, and it is now my privilege to read the citation in support of the conferment of the degree. In his thesis entitled Archaeological Interpretation and Ideology of Historical Spaces in Israel and the West Bank, he combines ideological critique and archaeological theory to investigate the perceptions of archaeological practitioners in Israel and the West Bank, qualitative research to interpret the archaeological scene in Israel and the West Bank in an original way. As a South African researcher, he is able to transcend professional and ideological differences about Israel-Palestinian situation. His findings constitute a unique contribution to understanding ideological differences in the archaeology of Israel and the West Bank. Mr. Acting Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer on Dirk Philippus Conradi the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
I confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy on Dirk Philippus Conradi.
Mr. Acting Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you John Mambambo for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The candidate's supervisor was Professor D.E. Mutasa, and it is now my privilege to read the citation in support of the conferment of the degree. In his thesis entitled The Language, Identity, and Intercultural Communication of the Shona Living Among Xhosa Communities in Cape Town, he examines how Shona speakers are entangled in the politics of belonging. The co-cultural theory is central in illuminating the Xhosa hegemony, and the study reveals that the Shona speakers in Xhosa communities live a transient life with their identity shift the only constant. Through constructivist ontology and interpretivist epistemology, his research refreshes insights into the link between the triad, namely language, identity, and intercultural communication. His research makes a major contribution to intercultural communication between hosts and immigrants. Mr. Acting Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer on John Mambambo the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
I confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy to John Mambambo.
Mr. Acting Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you Anthony Wosike Umento for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The candidate's supervisor was Dr. T.A. Tamasan, and it is now my privilege to read the citation in support of the conferment of the degree. In his thesis entitled Investigating the Experiences of Parents Who Are Primary Caregivers of Children Living with HIV and AIDS in Rivers, Nigeria, he explores the psychosocial and emotional impact of biological parents, mostly mothers, providing care to HIV-positive children. He makes a valuable contribution to the debate on the care for orphaned and vulnerable children by pointing out that due to the introduction of HIV and AIDS treatments, such as antiretroviral drugs, biological parents live longer to look after their infected children. In the devastating instance where they pass the virus on to their children, he proposes the design of specific interventions to address the psychosocial and emotional trauma that parents undergo. Mr. Acting Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer on Anthony Wosike Umento the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
I confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy on Anthony Wosike Umento.
Mr. Acting Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you Sarah Catherine Day for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. I request the co-supervisor, Prof. S. Sufla, to read the citation in support of the conferment of the degree.
In her thesis entitled Women's Everyday Resistance, Space, Affect, and Healing, she examines marginalized women's everyday resistance to violence and reflexively examines the process of this research. Referenced against liberation psychology, feminist geopolitics, and affective economies, Her findings demonstrate the complex enactment of everyday resistance and the intricacies inherent in how power dynamics are reproduced and resisted in the research context. Her research represents an original and valuable contribution by advancing conceptualizations of women's resistance and elucidating how such resistance is performed beyond state-sanctioned spaces and in the production of the everyday.
Mr. Acting Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer on Sarah Catherine Day the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
I confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy on Sarah Catherine Day.
Mr. Acting Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you Vuyiswa Xoliswa Nontutuzelo Foster for the degree of Doctor of Education. I shall now request her supervisor, Professor R.J. Tabane, to read the citation in support of the conferment of the degree.
In her thesis entitled Teacher Attitudes Towards Learners Who Exhibit ADHD-type Behaviors in Eastern Cape Full-Service Schools, the promovenda explores teachers' attitudes towards learners who display attention deficit hyperactivity disorder type behaviors and their treatment of such learners. She argues that teacher attitudes and knowledge of ADHD in general is key to learner scholastic performance and highlights the training gaps and support needed by teachers in mediating learning for learners with neurodevelopmental disorders. She recommends training teachers on neurodevelopmental disorders, particularly ADHD, so that learners are not perceived negatively due to inadequate knowledge. Furthermore, she proposes a program to address ambivalent teacher attitudes coupled with teacher coping skills for supporting learners with ADHD-type behaviors.
Mr. Acting Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer on Vuyiswa Xoliswa Nontutuzelo Foster the degree of Doctor of Education.
I confer the degree of Doctor of Education on Vuyiswa Xoliswa Nontutuzelo Foster.
Mr. Acting Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you Shaikh Mohammed Hassan for the degree of Doctor of Education. The candidate supervisor was Professor ZMM Jojo, and it is now my privilege to read the citation in support of the conferment of the degree. In his thesis entitled Lesson Study as a Management Strategy to Improve Performance in Space, Shape, and Orientation in Mathematical Literacy at Technical and Vocational Education and Training Colleges, Hassan Shaikh Mohammed thoroughly investigates how lesson study may be used as a management strategy to improve performance in space, shape, and orientation in mathematical literacy. His findings reveal that the involvement of the manager in the lesson study participative management model improves curriculum management, sharing of experience and expertise among participants, influences the organizational culture, and provides guidance and support through vigorous discussions, openness, trust, respect, positive relationships, and the sharing of ideas. Mr. Acting Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer on Shaikh Mohammed Hassan the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
I confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy on Sheikh Mohammed Hassan.
Madam Acting Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you Alice Ayanda Kayakazi King for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The candidate's supervisor was Professor M. Leketo, and it is now my privilege to read the citation in support of the conferment of the degree. In her thesis entitled The Role of School Governing Bodies in Enhancing School Effectiveness in South African Schools, King Alice Ayanda Kayakazi investigates the strategies used by the school governing bodies, SGBs, to enhance school management and quality education. Her findings reveal that although the SGBs generally lack sufficient knowledge on school governance, they advocate equity, access, and successes of all learners, particularly underprivileged ones. They also promote good corporate governance and accountability among principals and teachers. She developed a model for improving stakeholder engagement and recommends intensive training of the SGBs and teachers, particularly in historically disadvantaged schools, to enhance school effectiveness. Mr. Acting Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer on Alice Ayanda Kayakazi King the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
I confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy to Ayanda Kalikasi King.
Mr. Acting Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you Lindiwe Albertina Mabesela for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The candidate supervisor was Professor J.G. van Graan, and it is now my privilege to read the citation in support of the conferment of the degree. In her thesis entitled An Integrated Framework for Performance Management Strategies in Small and Medium Enterprises, the case of Cape Metropole, South Africa, she investigates how SMEs organize and integrate strategies within their performance management characteristics and approaches. Her findings offer a comprehensive analysis of the factors and processes deemed crucial to performance management and the development integrated framework to advance the realization of how the integration of the balanced scorecard and design thinking related principles is possible to support the interaction and iteration between thinking, action, and the actual discovery of the key drivers to monitor, improve, and change performance, and accordingly raise awareness of such framework in SMEs. Mr. Acting Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer Lindiwe Albertina Mabesela the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
I confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy on Lindiwe Albertina Mabesela.
Mr. Acting Vice-Chancellor, the following candidates received the degree of Master of Education. Janine Erika Helder-Bloem. Juanita Judith Losh. Ntombekaya Mchiza. Simone George.
Mr. Acting Vice-Chancellor, the following candidate received the degree of Master of Commerce. Dewald Barnard.
Prof. Chaka, where is it?
Mr. Acting Vice Chancellor, the following candidates received the Masters of Arts. Tamara Lynn Carter. Mr. Acting Vice Bonita Lorraine Calmier. Mr. Acting Vice Chancellor, Leonasia Leanne van der Merwe received the degree of Master of Public Health. Mr. Acting Vice Chancellor, Timothy John Ledgerwood received the Masters of Theology. Howard Richard Rose for the degree Masters of Theology. Olwethu Landile Pumlani Squacha received the Masters of Arts in Communication Science.
Mr. Acting Vice Chancellor, the following candidates received the degree of Master of Laws. Nicolene Fenter. Ronel Elaine Samuels. Hans Bay. Congratulations. Nicole Renee Souls. Vernon Plakis. Victor Zolani Nanto. Mr. Acting Vice Chancellor, the following candidates received the degree of Magister Technologiae. Zingiswa Dorothy Maqoi. Maimbot Shilaluke.
Mr. Acting Vice Chancellor, the following candidates received the degree of Master of Business Leadership. Please look at the camera. Fezeka Florence Magricha. There you go. Sibongiseni Hopewell Hlophe. Voiseka February. Remember the camera? Sorry. How do you pronounce it? Siobhan Caris Roitis. There you go. Mr. Acting Vice Chancellor, the following candidates received the degree of Master of Business Administration. Thank you. Hold on. Dane Keith Duplessis. There you go.
Honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor and privilege to be the first to congratulate those who have just received their degrees and degrees during this ceremony. Allow me to pay a special attention and tribute to our new graduates and congratulate them on a job well done. The University of South Africa has also produced some of this country's most illustrious graduates, including the late former President Nelson Mandela, the late Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court, Judge Pius Langa, former Deputy Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court, Judge Dikgamo Seneke Gilmarcus, the former Governor of the South African Reserve Bank, and the first woman to hold that position. the outgoing Chief Justice Mogoeng Mogoeng, and our own President Cyril Ramaphosa. Ladies and gentlemen, the list is endless. It also includes close to 800,000 other alumni who are leaders in civil society, business, and public life. Unisa is now your alma mater, and you have every reason to be proud of your accomplishments today. You have completed your studies successfully at a university that is internationally recognized for the quality of its educational offerings and the caliber of its graduates. We rejoice with you in the wonderful gifts that you have been endowed with, gifts of mind and heart, gifts of time and talent, gifts of accomplishments and worthwhile challenges. This is one of our shared delight as we celebrate the fulfillment of your dreams and hard work. With you, we give thanks for the guidance of your lecturers and professors, your supervisors, the support of your spouses, parents, families, and friends, without whom this moment of success would not have been possible. Ladies and gentlemen, to all the graduates, now I'm going to ask you, all of you, to stand, the graduates. Please stand up and to give yourself a round of applause, giving thanks to your family members, spouse, friends, and relatives, and give yourself a big applause and thank you. Thank you. You may be seated. I trust that as you move into the future, you will be able to put what you have learned to good use, not just for personal gain, but for your family, community, our country, continent, and the rest of the world. In fact, now that you have graduated, I need to mention that you are not going to get very far in life based on what you have already know. You are going to advance in life by what you are going to learn after you leave here. Education doesn't stop after you graduate. It doesn't stop after you finish your qualification either. Some scholars believe that wisdom acquisition is a moral duty. It's not just something you do just to advance in life. It's a moral duty because it's only through continuous learning that we can add to the vast knowledge of mankind. If we stopped learning, progress in all sectors of society and economy stops as well. The challenge to you is, how are you going to help our communities, the business and society to embrace the challenges imposed by the reality of life? How are you going to systematically apply your knowledge to produce goods and services? I also hope that you will remain lifelong learners, seeking to improve your knowledge and your circumstances through your lives, and remembering with pride and loyalty that you are alumni of a truly dynamic, historical university that is shaping the futures in the service of humanity. That is the University of South Africa, you are Unisa. Congratulations for your fine achievement. You can give yourself a round of applause again. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, one of our main aims as a university is to assist financially needy and academically deserving students. We are proud that we have empowered many students from different colleges and diverse geographical groups. This can only be possible through your generous assistance. I therefore appeal to everyone in this ceremony to consider making a donation to the University of South Africa Bursary Fund by using the online platform that is www.unisa.ac.za, and go to the donate button and follow the process from there. As a worthy graduate of this university, we are sure that you realize the value of your degree and therefore wish to provide other deserving students with an opportunity to study further. My call today is for you to become part of the Circle of Excellence. I thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, after this announcement, I would like to rise for the singing of the national anthem, the words of which are to be found on page 18 or the last page of the book that you have, or the program. What is important, ladies and gentlemen, is that you should remain standing after the anthem to enable me to dissolve the congregation. You are also requested to remain standing while the academic procession leaves the hall. Can we sing the national anthem, please? By virtue of the powers entrusted to me, I dissolve this congregation of the University of South Africa. Thank you.